to make that part of the establishment angry.
Kind of an awkward moment there, maybe.
Tough. They'll call that the Jaws-Durango debate.
Yeah.
I think that was a tough moment.
There's nothing the rest of you can do, so pay attention to me. You'll just get in the way.
Allman in the morning. Common Sense Radio.
Yeah, they will someday call that the Jaws-Durango moment there, as Giulianis gets it handed to him by Mark Kirk, who didn't know apparently the extent to which he was loaning money to mobsters. Well, the extent to which they were committing crimes. He kind of knew they were criminals, just didn't know how criminal they happened to be.
They were criminal lights.
You can see that bit on Alma's Electric Stove at 971talk.com. You, of course, can also see Bill O'Reilly and Ann Coulter getting into a fight over the whole Palladino gay stuff. That's pretty fascinating. And what to do if your mom is on Facebook. We'll have that for you in the lightning round, and we have Dr. Tolbert joining us as well. Now, as you all know, normally on our show, when it comes to school rules and work rules, like, for instance, let's take the issue of Plan B, the people who don't want to dispense Plan B at Walgreens. Well, if you don't want to dispense Plan B at Walgreens, then don't work there. Mm-hmm. Bottom line.
That's right.
And if you want your kid to wear jeans instead of the school uniform, then don't send the kids to the school where they require the uniform. It's pretty simple.
That's right.
But some things, when it comes to rules, are just downright crazy and antithetical to every possible way we think. We interviewed Eric, who called in earlier. We didn't really interview. He called in when I told this story about Vianney Dickey, who's going to join us in just 1 second. And his dad worked at Famous Bar, 51 years. Back in those days, when he nailed shoplifters, he got a bonus.
Should be that way.
My, how things have changed. Vianney Dickey, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Vianney also goes to my church, which is an added bonus. She's a sweetheart and a great family. And Vianney, what happened?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was off the clock. I was on my break. And I was shopping for my 3-year-old son when I saw two nice girls helping themselves to a whole bunch of our merchandise.
At the Gap?
Yes.
And?
And then, the usual thing, they walked out with the merchandise. We have a detector thing, a sensor, which went off. And I was standing there with another associate that was on the clock, and I said, they just filled up their bag with our jeans. And I'm like, but I'm off the clock. I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, you should go get it. She's like, go get it. So, of course, I don't know, common sense or not, I took off and I went to the girls and I asked them to go back in the store so we could check their bags. And they're like, no, nothing beeped. We don't have to go back because it didn't beep. Obviously, they knew, they know about that. Because that was the first thing they told me.
Right.
So the girls started to run. So, of course, I ran and I chased them out, like you said, to the parking lot. I recovered the bag.
You chased them out to the parking lot?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
Good for you.
So then I got back to our store and delivered it to my manager. And she said, had that look that something just wasn't going to be right. And she's like, clock back in, and she was going to talk to me later. And afterwards, everyone's like, oh, my God, do you realize, you could have been hurt? But in that type of situation, to me, that's not what you think. You think, okay, you're either going to do the right thing or you're just going to let somebody do what's not right. And then all of us, of course, have to pay the consequences of that, which means prices going up on clothes that we have to take the hit for.
And also, it's your company. They're stealing from your company. So from a consumer standpoint, right on, and from an employee standpoint, right on.
Yeah, so that was the big issue that I could have gotten hurt, and 10 days later I got suspended and fired after that for that, because they said I was in violation of our risky business training.
And that says what?
That says that you can't approach anybody while you're on the clock, while you're working for Gap. You can't do anything to shoplifters, basically.
Wow. That's unbelievable. So so the stores basically, and the Gap, I guess in particular, they just simply accept the fact that people are going to steal from them, and unless the police can capture them, they just let it go.
Yeah, pretty. I think that's the thing. I mean, everybody has a loss prevention team, but to me, it's if you had what was bugging me is like if we had the right loss prevention team, we wouldn't be put in that situation.
Well, yes, and
We have to do the right thing or look the other way.
that's just amazing. And man, am I just so proud to know you. And I think we're all privileged to have you living in our community as a person who says, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing, even though absolutely at the time you didn't really know what the ramifications would be. You just decided you wanted to take the bull by the horns, do the right thing. You come huffing and puffing back with the merchandise after chasing shoplifters, and you're fired.
Yeah, I mean that was the hard thing because I've never been fired from anywhere, and I enjoy working. I love working, as a matter of fact, but I'm like, it's kind of hard to see that because if I wasn't in the position that I am, and it would have been someone else doing the right thing that does need the job in order to like sustain their kids for doing the right thing, they're going to get punished for it.
Wow, what a lesson that no good deed goes unpunished, apparently.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to kind of just move on, or what are you going to do?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
My husband's an attorney. We're still thinking about everything because one of the big things for us was I was literally off of the clock. So
Yeah.
it's the saying is like, why am I not allowed to do something when I'm off the clock? You wouldn't stop me from going to like the other kids' resale shop.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you did a heroic thing, and especially as it relates to the lessons you're teaching your children and your coworkers and your fellow citizens, you did a heroic thing. It's too bad that they did what they did, Vianney, and I'm sure that there will be people who will email me and say, I'll hire her in a second. So, well, if you need another job, I guarantee you we'll be getting some correspondence. But I'm sorry that happened to you, but thank you for standing up for what's right. And that's the greatest thing. So good luck to you, and we're sorry it happened.
Oh, thanks so much.
All right, it's Vianney Dickey.
Allman in the morning. Common Sense Radio.
So if you ever want to steal some clothes from the Gap, just make sure you run and get out in the parking lot and go. Honest to goodness, that's the most depressing thing I've heard all morning. But more power to Vianney Dickey, who stood up for what's right, taught a great lesson to her kids and to the rest of us. Way to go. And shame on you, Gap. Lightning round straight ahead.